Hi guys, welcome back to Tutorial Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in. This week we are going to take a break from going through the legends and we are going to tackle a question that I often get asked. How do you get to Diamond and Ranked, and how do you do it consistently? So when trying to get to the Diamond, Ranked, and beyond, I think one of the most important things is picking a good legend. Now, almost all the legends are viable, but what I mean by a good legend is when you're solo queuing, you want to pick a legend that gives you options. You want to pick a movement legend that can get you in and out of fights easily, especially if you don't trust your teammates. If you're not able to trust your teammates, you want to be able to have that escape plan just in case you have to move out of a fight to go get RP later in the game. I personally recommend playing Octane. He is my favorite movement legend. I think he's the best at going in and out of fights very easily. He can escape faster than most legends with his jump pad and his stem. However, Pathfinder, Wraith, even Loba could all work in this instance. Another mistake that I find people make when playing ranked games, especially when trying to solo queue up to Diamond, is dropping hot or always dropping in a place that has a lot of teams already going there. So when you're in the dropship, you want to keep an eye on where people are going, how many people are dropping where, is there good loot in these areas, and you want to try and find an area that both has good loot, but also doesn't have anybody dropping there or has a single team dropping there. If you've ever watched the ALGS, you'll notice that they all tend to drop in a separate location, and it's kind of an unwritten rule that nobody's going to drop on the same area. The reason they do this is because your odds of getting a good score in the ALGS or in rank decrease severely if you drop on a team in the first couple minutes. If you fight in the first couple minutes, your chances of making it out of that fight, even if you're the better team, are not always great. So you want to make sure that you drop in an area where you can get loot and you can make it on to later in the game and get more points. The next point I want to make is about learning when to take and back out of fights. So this is really important, especially in ranked gameplay, because there's often where a fight will take too long or you'll be in a bad position and it's not a good fight for you guys to take and you need to back out of the fight. It's more important to back out of a fight and not have a chance at that rank points, that RP, than to force the fight and get third-partied or get beat very quickly. So a lot of my friends who are better gunfighters than me, better aim than me, will actually lose rank points more often than me because they'll try and take early fights to try and get that KP, try and get those kills, those assists for later in the game. However, what they're doing is they're not maximizing their risk versus their reward. So they're taking the risk early in the game where you're losing 36 points in plat right off the bat, and they're trying to make a fight happen. If they lose that fight, they're automatically still losing that 36 if they don't get any kills or assists. However, if they do it later in the game, if they don't push fights as early, then they already have some points stored up. So if they're at like 6th place, they'll already have positive points, and therefore taking those fights are not as risky. You'll gain more also if you get the kills, because later in the game the kills are worth more. So knowing when to pull out of the fights and when to take fights is crucial for pushing up to Diamond and Ranked. When I tend to solo queue in ranked, if I don't trust the fight that my teammates are taking, I will tell them, I am not going into this fight, I don't think we should take this fight, and it's important to communicate that first, but then if they continue to push in that fight and I know it's a bad fight, I will leave my teammates. Now this sounds like something you don't want to do, you want to have your full team, but in ranked, if you can't get your team to come with you out of a bad fight, instead of all three of you dying early, you getting out of that fight and surviving is more important. So trust your instincts when you're trying to go out of a bad fight, and if you have to, leave your teammates. The next thing is if you find yourself without teammates, just trying to survive, don't pick fights. Rat as well as you can, hide, run, do whatever you can to survive and get to the later placements, but don't take a fight unless you absolutely have to. If you can get out of there, just keep running, move through ring if you need to, if you can survive it, but don't pick the fight, don't pop shots from a distance unless you absolutely have to. If you have to take the fight, take it, but otherwise just hide out and just accumulate those points. Now I know this isn't a fun way to play the game. Nobody wants to just sit there in a corner and just wait for the round to end, the ring to end, for people to leave. But more than often than not, this will not only get you more points, but in the end, there's quite a few games you'll end up having a chance to win if you can survive until that last two teams fight. That's when you want to pop out, that's when you want to take your chance and try and get first, second, worst possible scenario, third place. The last tip I have for you is know what guns are your strengths. So I didn't get the name G7 Ginger for no apparent reason. The G7 is by far my strongest gun. If I can find one, I will always use it. You gotta know what guns you're best with. Practice with all the guns, make sure you know which ones you like the most, and if you can get them, use them every game you can. So I recommend checking out the people that I mentioned in the title of the video, Aceu, iiTzTimmy, Zeus. iiTzTimmy actually did a video where he goes from bronze to pred in 55 hours on stream, which is pretty incredible. And I'll put all their links down below. But the sad truth is most of us aren't as good as these players. Most of us aren't Aceu. We don't have that kind of movement. We don't have aim like iiTzTimmy, and we aren't as polished as Zeus. But these tips can help any average player make it to Diamond. If you enjoyed the video, drop a subscribe, drop a like, and we'll be back next week with another Tutorial Tuesday. Thanks for watching.